Welcome everybody. We're going to break down that 1-0 goal for Man City against Newcastle in the Premier League on the 26th of December, which was a result of the Pep Guardiola strategy, his philosophy, and the key players involved are Kevin De Bruyne, Cancelo, Gundogan, and Sterling. But we're going to stop there for a second and looking at the Newcastle lineup. We see the lone striker up front. We also have a back five with Matt Ritchie that left-hand side. But we are going to focus on the midfield, Murphy, Hayden, Longstaff, and Almiron, and looking at what these guys are doing during the goal. But we're also going to take a quick look at the Man City organization. Pep Guardiola uses his fullbacks to get inverted and up in positions on either side of the defensive midfielder, the pivot, and in this case, Rodri. But this time, Guardiola have pushed Cancelo further up in the field, ending up between the defensive line and the midfielders. We can also see that De Bruyne and Gundogan have switched position, and Gundogan, who started off as the defensive midfielder together with Rodri in that double pivot role. We see here that De Bruyne is looking at Hayden, the midfielder, what the chances are to receive a pass from Stones. Almiron is putting some pressure on John Stones, and John Stones is finding De Bruyne with the pass. This is the moment where we can see how Pep Guardiola's philosophy has been implemented in the squad. The basic principle can be shown in a training exercise called El Rondo, an exercise which they train every day. The aim for the 8 players is to keep possession from the 2 ball-chasing defenders. The simple rule is to play short if you have to, but play long if you can. And what happened if Longstaff now put some pressure on De Bruyne? The ball can easily be passed over to the other side, and that just creates space for Cancelo to use, and space in this case means time. And if you get time, you are well suited to get creative when entering the final third. So the philosophy is to pass the ball to move the opposition players, and that's all what Guardiola wants to do. Now we can see that the Newcastle manager Steve Bruce have identified the City winger Raheem Sterling as the single most dangerous threat towards his team. He has put Matt Ritchie to man-mark Sterling, and he also wants Almiron to give support to Ritchie to always reach a 2v1 situation in the outer corridor. A Cancelo pass to Sterling and back may look meaningless, but it attracts Almiron out wide towards Sterling. It stretches the Newcastle midfield, and it creates big holes in their organization. Now it's time for City to get creative entering the final third. Here we can see how Cancelo sees the possibility to exploit the free space created when Matt Ritchie, having his eyes kept on Raheem Sterling out on the wing. We can also see how stretched the Newcastle midfield are, and they're not giving any good support to the back line. And what if the central defender Clark here decides to cover the blue space here? Well, then he just open up a new space for Rodri to utilize a new passing lane up to Gundogan, which is even more dangerous. But Rodri, who is a terrific defensive midfielder, but he is not Kevin De Bruyne, he's not David Silva, he's not Ilkay Gundogan. So he chooses another option instead. He switches play to the other side, and that means that the Newcastle organization have to switch across as well. And now their midfield going to be tested once more. Here is De Bruyne with the ball, and what is Gundogan and Ferran doing here? Yes, they are attacking the area behind the defensive midfielder at the same time as Cancelo goes short. We can also see that the Newcastle right back Jedlin is paying too much attention to Bernardo out wide instead of rapidly getting inside to give support to the back line in covering spaces. Here we have the same situation in another angle We see two City players going long, one player going short, and in the lower part of the picture we can see how Raheem Sterling is trying to keep the attention of the two Newcastle defenders, which will raise the possibilities for Cancelo to receive a De Bruyne pass centrally. The disorganization within the Newcastle midfield is clear in this picture. The distance between Longstaff and Almiron is far too stretched, giving Cancelo a lot of free space centrally. In this picture, we are back in the Rondo, while Kevin De Bruyne once again not playing short, he's playing long if he can, and finding Cancelo in free space. The De Bruyne pass to Cancelo will attract Almiron, who is trying to compensate, leaving Matt Ritchie alone with Raheem Sterling in this area. Cancelo, who comes up with a beautiful nutmeg pass. Sterling, who is one of the fastest players in the Premier League, has no problem in reaching the ball first, and with some silky moments of close control, he has forced down the entire Newcastle backline into the 6 yard box, and also the goalkeeper on his knee, just to pass to Gundogan, who can put the ball in the back of the net. To much joy of the coach Pep Guardiola, who just calling his captain to get back to the touchline for new instructions. Conclusions. From a Man City perspective, players are buying into the Pep philosophy. We can see that clearly. Passing the ball around just to move the opposition, just to create spaces behind them. Being creative in the final third, ask tricky questions to the opposition defense. And Cancelo, his performance at this goal was outstanding. He's showing here what a real asset he will be in the future for the team. From a Newcastle United perspective, they were not synchronized in their pressing when they press with one player at a time. They need to get back to the basic with acting with first and second defenders. A disorganized four-man midfield that didn't give much cover for the back line. Fullbacks that was man-marking the City wingers out wide didn't pay off. Gave up too much space on the inside. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video.